Hello, my name is Charles Webster Bear, and today is January 14, 2021, and I am in Bend, Oregon, USA, and my website is globalinternetgovernment.com. And today I want to make a video. And I want to make a video that's over 40 minutes. So that's what I'm going to try to do today. So let's get started. Depopulationism. Depopulationism is an idea created by the Chinese government in the 1980s. Also known as the one woman, one child policy. Now, depopulationists like myself want to create a significant and sustained and immediate decline in the human population on Earth. And we feel that that is the fair and rational way to save the planet. And depopulationists like myself feel that it is illegal and immoral for anybody to reproduce a second time in this millennium. And depopulationism wants the number of people on the planet to decrease until it arrives at a sustainable level. And that is a number for future generations to determine. But I'm going to go ahead and guess it's around 2 or 3 billion. And this will allow the environment to heal, and this will allow for more trees to grow back. And then in the future, when people want to breathe oxygen, they'll be able to do that because there'll be enough trees to make enough oxygen for people to breathe. And then we won't all suffocate to death, and that's a good thing. So basically it's very simple. It's clear that the planet has enough people, which means that we don't need to make any more people. And in fact, the planet might have too many people, which means that we're in danger of destroying the planet and ourselves. So depopulationists just want to play it safe and step away from the cliff. All right, the number of people on Earth right now is increasing. And that's the wrong direction. That's a suicide course. Because if we kill the planet, we kill ourselves. Okay? Right now, humans are killing Earth, and if we succeed, we die with it. Okay? Humans don't have the right to kill the planet. Humans don't have the right to threaten the planet. But that's what we're doing, and that's wrong, and we need to stop. Okay? Depopulationists are part of the solution. If you're not a depopulationist, you're part of the problem. It's important for people to be part of the solution and stop being part of the problem. Okay? Smart people are depopulationists. Smart people need to explain what's going on to people who aren't smart and try to make them smart. That's our job as smart people. That's our responsibility as intelligent human beings. We need to break this down for everybody so we're all on the same page and we can all move forward together as a species. That's depopulationism. And I'm a depopulationist. Depopulationism is my religion. It's what I've been doing with my life for the last 35 years, and it's what I'll continue to do with my life until I die. It's the only thing that matters. All other issues are irrelevant compared to depopulationism. And after running my yap about this for 35 years, I think I've gotten pretty good at it. I've been talking about this for 35 years, and I think I've finally got the hang of it. So that's depopulationism. It's a big deal, and we all need to get on it today. It's the latest evolution in environmentalism. It's logical environmentalism. It's environmentalism for people who have brains that work and who aren't afraid to use them. So that's depopulationism. And everybody needs to get involved. Everybody needs to participate. When you vote, you should only vote for people who are publicly depopulationist. And you should also run for office as a depopulationist. It's time for everybody to be accountable. It's time for everybody to get on board. It's time for everybody to wake up. So that's depopulationism. It's illegal and immoral for any human being on the planet Earth in this millennium to reproduce more than one time. So depopulationism is the goal. Depopulationism is the plan. Depopulationism is what we got to do. So how are we going to do it? How are we going to accomplish this? Well, with a world government. So 21 years ago, I created Global Internet Government, GIG. And I created Global Internet Government, GIG, the world government, to advance my depopulationist agenda. GIG is going to unite the world politically and economically. GIG is going to create an online interactive social media platform so that everybody on the planet Earth can participate in and contribute to and be part of the world government. Just as depopulationism is the latest evolution of the human being and the nation and the collective online consciousness of our species, so too is GIG the latest evolution in government. Humans are getting better, and we're becoming better by becoming depopulationists, and government is getting better and evolving and improving by turning into global internet government. So GIG is going to unite the world politically and economically. GIG is going to unite the world politically with freedom and democracy and equality and reproductive rights. And reproductive rights means that all human beings on Earth have the right to total and free access to all forms of birth control, including abortion. Any government that does not completely agree and support this 100% is an illegitimate government. Illegitimate governments will be replaced quickly and peacefully by legitimate governments. GIG is going to unite the world economically with transparency and balanced budget agreements and trade treaties and balanced budget amendments and regional currencies, but mainly transparency. GIG is going to make every single government transaction by every government on Earth completely public and transparent immediately online. And so everybody on Earth can always immediately see where all the money is, where it's going, who got it, who they got it from, how much they got, when they got it, what they did with it, etc. I love me GIG. I love me some GIG. GIG is good stuff, baby. It's where it's at. GIG is inevitable. In fact, it's probably already happened. In fact, it has already happened. But we just got to keep this ball rolling. And we will. So, depopulationism is what we got to do to survive, and we'll do it. Gig is how we're going to do it, and we're doing it. So now I want to talk about Fog Bank. So I took depopulationism from the Chinese, thank you China. I took gig from the European Union, thank you EU. And I took Fog Bank from Bitcoin, thank you Bitcoin. Yeah, the EU created the EU, and it's a world government that's continuing to increase in size and scope, and just like Gig, only Gig's global. So it's the same thing. And Fog Bank is basically the same thing as Bitcoin. I just improved it. I took the idea of cybercurrency from Bitcoin and I made it better, and I call it Fog Bank. So let's talk about Fog Bank. I've been talking about depopulationism for 35 years. I've been talking about Gig for 20 years, and I've been talking about Fog Bank for a couple months. But I actually created it in 2019, and then I just sat on it for a year and let it ferment. But it's ready to uncork. So let's talk about Fog Bank. Fog Bank is my cyber currency that I created in 2019. Okay, Fog Bank is my cyber currency. And Fog Bank has a unit of currency called the Fog Buck, F-O-G-B-U-K, plural Fog Bucks, F-O-G-B-U-X. And anybody anywhere can purchase as many Fog Bucks as they want for 1 penny each. The value of a Fog Buck fluctuates from 0 to as high as it's going to go, and back down to 0, and then back up as high as it's going to go. That's the nature of cyber currency. That's the nature of all currency. The value fluctuates. So Fog Bank is the same thing. It's got a Fog Buck, a unit of currency, and that unit of currency fluctuates in value. Right now it's 0. It'll probably remain at 0 for quite a while, and then it'll hopefully eventually increase to above 0, and then it will probably go back down to 0, and then it'll probably stay at 0, and then it'll hopefully increase and go as high as it can go, etc., etc. So that's the value of a Fog Buck. 0, nada, zip, zilch, bubkus. Nothing. But hopefully it'll go up. Can't go down. Excuse me. Anyway, so that's Fog Bank. The unit of currency is the Fog Buck. Anybody, anywhere can buy as many Fog Bucks as they want for 1 American cent each. There's also the Fog Bic, F-O-G-B-I-K, plural Fog Bics, F-O-G-B-I-X. Now, the value of a Fog Bic and the value of a Fog Buck is always identical. It's always the same value. A Fog Buck and a Fog Bic is always exactly the same value. However, a Fog Buck is a unit of currency that someone purchases from Fog Bank. A Fog Bic is something that Fog Bank gives to an individual. And I am going to give every human being on earth 10,000 Fog Bics right now. Boom! You're welcome. Now, Fog Bank reserves the right to suspend or terminate any Fog Bic at any time for any reason, including no reason at all. However, if you have a fog buck, it's yours forever until you spend it. Now, every fog buck has an individual unique fog buck number. Every fog bick has an individual unique fog bick number. Every fog bank user has an individual unique fog bank user number. Every fog bank transaction has a unique individual fog bank transaction number. Every single unit of currency in FogBank, all the fog bucks and all the fog bicks, are totally 100% transparent, and anybody anywhere can trace their entire history at any time. So anybody anywhere at any time can see where every unit of currency is and how it got there. 100% transparent. FogBank has always been and will always be 100% completely, totally transparent. Everybody everywhere can always see where all the money is and where it came from and what it's done and where it went and how it got there. Now, there is a ceiling and a floor. Nobody can have more than 1 trillion American dollars worth of fog bucks. And nobody can have less than 10 fog bucks. So if you have 1 trillion American dollars worth of fog bucks and you want to buy more fog bucks, no, you can't do it. If you have 0 fog bucks, you'll be given, or if you have 0 fog bicks, you'll be given 5 or 10 fog bicks every week as long as you're at 0 or below 10. Every week you're below 10 fog bics, you'll be given 10 more fog bics. So nobody can be totally broke and nobody can have too much cash, although, of course, if you're a multi-billionaire, you probably have too much cash, but I digress. Anyway, so there's a ceiling and there's a floor. So there is a huge infinite gap between the haves and the have-nots, but at least it's a gap as opposed to just going on forever and having multi-trillionaires and people who can't even afford to drink water. So what we've done is we've created a ceiling and a floor. There isn't one now, but there is with FogBank, and that gap can be shrunk. We can lower the ceiling and we can raise the floor, and we will, very slowly, as circumstances warrant. So that's FogBank. So we've talked about depopulationism, which is the goal of the human race on Earth in this millennium, also known as saving the planet. We've talked about GIG, which is the world government. Thank you very kindly. Have a nice day. And so the goal is depopulationism, and the way to accomplish that is GIG. So what we got to do is depopulationism, and how we're going to do it is global internet government. And we talked about FogBank, which theoretically could finance this entire freak show. That would be very nice. Yeah. So depopulationists are the future of enlightened individuals. Global internet government is the future of government. and Fogbank is the future of money. See how we're always evolving, we're always improving, we're always getting better? Depopulationism is the latest development in our evolution, as humans. Global internet government is the latest evolution in government, and Fogbank is the latest evolution in money. We're always improving, we're always getting better, we're always evolving, and this is just the latest in that story of us. Now, I want to go over 40 minutes. I'm at 26 minutes, so I've got to ramble on for another 14 minutes, and I will do so. I never really run out of things to talk about because I can always talk about me, which is actually my favorite subject. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about me. Me. Who am I? Who am I? I am Charles Webster Bear. I'm 51 years old, and I'll be 52 soon, hopefully. I'm a Buddhist and an agnostic and an atheist. I'm an atheist because I don't believe in God. I'm an agnostic because I think everybody's an agnostic. And I'm a Buddhist because I consider Buddhism to be a philosophy, and I consider Buddhism to be the correct philosophy. I'm single, I'm straight, I've never been married, and I don't have any kids. And I'm incredibly good looking, as you can tell. Maybe I'm too good looking. If so, I'm okay with that. So I was born and raised in Santa Cruz, California. And I went to high school in Newport, Rhode Island. And in 1994, I graduated from the University of Hawaii at Hilo on the Big Island. And in 1995, I moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico. And in 1999, I moved to Portland, Oregon. I think that was pine pollen. Anyway, 1999, I moved to Portland, Oregon. And in 2000, I created Global Internet Government. And in 2007, I moved to Bend, Oregon. And in 2014, I moved to China for 3 years to teach English, which was great. Want to go back now, forever. And then in 2019, I created Fogbank and moved to Redmond, Oregon. And in 2022, I'm going to run for mayor of Redmond again. Vote Bear. And in 2024, I'm going to run for President of the United States of America again as a libertarian. And a libertarian means I'm for less government, more freedom. Fiscally conservative, socially liberal. If it has to do with money, I'm a Republican. If it doesn't have to do with money, I'm a Democrat. Please vote for me, Charles Webster Bear. Thank you very much. And that's me. That's Charles Webster Bear. That's who I am. And I've got 10 more minutes to run my yap, which I'm quite confident I can do and will do. So what am I going to talk about? for 10 minutes, I'm going to talk about the history of this physical universe. So, 16 billion years ago, what I like to call infinite time negative, the universe existed, what I like to call infinite space negative. And the universe existed as a plasma of dark energy. And this plasma of dark energy expanded and cooled and evolved into a plasma of dark energy and dark matter, and became large enough for robots to comprehend. And this energy plasma of dark energy and dark matter continued to expand and cool and evolve into quantum particles, which became, and the universe became large enough for mammals to comprehend. And this energy plasma of quantum particles continued to expand and evolve and cool into subatomic particles, and this energy plasma of subatomic particles continued to expand and evolve and cool, and now we're at 14 billion years ago. $14 billion years ago. The technical origin of time and space as we know it in this physical universe. And this energy plasma continued to expand and evolve and cool and formed atomic particles, which formed atoms, hydrogen atoms, which formed, and then gravity started to act on all these hydrogen atoms and formed hydrogen clouds, and then gravity continued to act on these hydrogen clouds and formed stars, which created the other elements, which continued to expand, and gravity acted on these stars and formed galaxies. And then we've got expanding galaxies in this physical universe, and that's what we've still got right now. In fact, the expansion is actually increasing in speed, interestingly enough. This is also known as the Big Bang Theory. So 5 billion years ago, our sun was created, and the leftovers were the planets which orbited the sun, and the Earth was one of these planets, which was a blob of lava, which cooled and formed the crust, which gas escaped and formed the ocean. And then 4 billion years ago, by random chemical reactions, life was created in the form of bacteria, which then reproduced and mutated and evolved into algae, which created photosynthesis. And that's more tree pollen. Thank you very much, tree, for pollinating me. So anyway, yeah, so algae created photosynthesis and continued to reproduce and mutate and evolve into ocean plants, which evolved into land plants, which evolved into fish, which evolved into reptiles, which evolved into mammals, which evolved into monkeys, which evolved into apes, which evolved into humans, which evolved into robots, which evolved into artificial intelligence, which evolved into higher levels of silicon-based life, which continued to evolve into more advanced forms of intelligence, which then eventually went on to colonize the entire galaxy and the entire universe. The end. So I probably left out a few things. Let's back up 3 million years ago. Now we're in South Africa, and we were Homo erectus, which then evolves into us, Homo sapiens. and then we make it through the jungle, and then about 200,000 years ago we bust out of Africa through Egypt and colonize the rest of the planet. And now the cat is out of the bag. And 10,000 years ago we've got the beginnings of societies and cultures with domestication of plants and farming and domestication of animals. And we've got language and customs and traditions and stuff like that. Then 2,500 years ago, we've got the beginning of modern civilization in Greece. And the Greeks develop the foundation for Western civilization, which still exists 2,500 years ago. Democracy, science, math, theater, freedom, philosophy, etc., etc., etc. And the Italians borrow heavily from this and take this to Europe, and etc., etc., etc. Also 2,500 years ago, at the same time, there's also another advanced civilization in India, and there's a dude named Buddha. And Buddha is getting all philosophical. And he's like, you know, when I'm dreaming, I think all this stuff is real, but it's obviously not because I'm dreaming. So how come I can't tell I'm dreaming? And he thought about this, and he said, well, you know, I know my thoughts exist, but I can't know anything else exists, because if I know something else exists, then maybe I'm dreaming and maybe I'm wrong. So if the universe exists, that's great. That's fantastic. But if the universe doesn't exist, then that means I'm not part of the universe. So what the hell am I? I'm the soul. So Buddha said, if the universe exists, great, you're part of the universe, and that's fantastic. If the universe doesn't exist, then you're the soul. It's one or the other. It can't be both, it can't be neither. It has to be one or the other. That's what Buddha said. And he was right, in my opinion. Simply just using logic and maybe a pen and paper, you can work this out in 5 minutes. Anyway, so that's Buddhism, and Buddhism traveled east to China, where they were advanced enough and their language was advanced enough and their society was advanced enough where they were able to understand this, and they said, yeah, this is good stuff, we're going to go with it. This also traveled west to the Middle East, where they were not advanced enough and their language was not sophisticated enough to handle this information, and they misinterpreted it twice. The first time was called Christianity, and the second time was called Islam. And many shenanigans ensued. So now we're back to Europe in the Middle Ages and the Dark Ages and the Renaissance and the Enlightenment and the Industrial Revolution, and then we go to America, where they create freedom and equality and democracy, and then we've got, a few wars, and then we've got the 60s and 70s, where people talk about environmentalism, and they talk about it, and they talk about it, and they talk about it, and they come to the conclusion that we don't want to kill the planet, and then they come to the conclusion that the best way to do that is to reduce the number of people on the planet, depopulationism. So they talk about depopulationism, and they talk about it, and they talk about it, which is okay, but eventually you want to act on it. Well, somebody did act on it, China, in the 1980s. So in the 1980s, China showed the world how to save the planet, depopulationism, and then China said, okay, now it's time for everybody to do this, and China's still waiting, and so am I. And we don't want to wait too much longer, because then we'll wait too long, and then we'll be toast no matter what. So, that's the history of the universe. That's depopulationism, that's global internet government, that's FogBank, that's Charles Webster Bear, and that's 40 minutes. So I've now made a video that's over 40 minutes long, which is what I've been trying to do and what I just accomplished, and I'm very happy about that. And I'm gonna upload it, and then I'm gonna download it, and then I'm gonna upload it, and then I'm gonna download it, and then I'm gonna share it, and then I'm gonna ask you to share it. And then I'm gonna ask you to make your own video about all these subjects. And then I'm gonna say to you, make a video where you talk about the stuff that's important, like I have done. And then I'm gonna ask you to vote for depopulationists. And then I'm gonna ask you to run for office as a depopulationist. And then I'm gonna ask you to save the planet. Okay? So get off your ass, nerd, and save the earth. Adios.